You're watching the Thunder Squad Show. I'm Tyler Jones, and coming up on today's program, I'm going to tell you why the MVP race is SGA's to lose.
I'm Rylan Stiles. I'm going to tell you why Ajay Mitchell is so important to this Thunder team.
I'm Jeremy Lamb. I'm going to talk about Chet stepping up.
This is Locked On's Thunder Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Thunder talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game, the way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Thunder Squad Show starts now.
Glad to have you with us here on the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by, beginning 2026 with us as we bring in the new year, and hopefully you guys are already off to a fantastic start to this one. We got so much to talk about on today's show. We'll begin with SGA in a moment. We'll also talk about Chet and the way that he stepped up the last few games, the importance for Ajay Mitchell, and then the reemergence of Isaiah Joe as well. Guys, SGA, you look at the way the MVP race has shaken out. We were talking just a week ago that when Joker had the great game on Christmas, that it was clear that it looked like he was the front runner to be the MVP once again after having just an outstanding showing against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then he goes down, and we also see last night another potential MVP candidate, a big name that's been in the Thunder's way, Victor Wembanyama, gets banged up a bit. That's not expected to be a long-term thing with him by any means, and he did already miss significant time anyway as is. But nonetheless, it seems like everything is lining up for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to be the MVP again. His point totals on the season, 32.1 points per game. Last night had 30 points in the win against Portland. Prior to that, against Atlanta, had 39 points as well. On top of that, he's averaging 4.7 rebounds per game and 6.4 assists, as well as 1.6 steals per game as well. And on top of that, the Thunder have the best record in the Western Conference on top of that, in the league for that matter. Jeremy, start with you here. SGA continues to be a mark of consistency for this Thunder team, and it's what we've come to expect at this point.
Yeah, he's been extremely consistent. He's been available. If I'm not mistaken, he's missed 1 or 2 games. He's played night in and night out, just 30 ball after 30 ball. He continues to carry the team. If they lean on him, if, they're in a drought or they need some energy to get the team going. Obviously, he's the head of the snake. So I just feel like, him being the best player on the best team in the NBA, and with those other guys going down, especially Jokic, who he was really making his case, as you said. So with those guys going down and just him continuing what he's doing night in and night out, yeah, it's a good chance he'll be the MVP 2 years in a row.
Rylan, let me ask you this. With Joker having his injury and being out for what we think to be at least a month, would you be surprised at this point if SGA is not the MVP?
Yeah, it'd be very shocking. And I think that right now, if you look at it, Jokic is an incredible player, obviously, and if he was healthy and is eligible for the award, it becomes an exceptionally close race. It'd be interesting to see who the voters would vote for in that case. And he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks, according to the reporting. But we know that Jokic has been unbelievable when it comes to dealing with pain and playing through pain. It's why in his 10-year career, he's always played 69-plus games in that span. And so we'll see if he can get back any earlier. But the reason that you have some doubt and the reason why Vegas has pulled off even being able to bet on Jokic to win the MVP now after being the front runner is because, if you get to that 4-week mark at the end of January, you're right at the All-Star break. And with a guy like this and a championship roster that Denver has, you would rather take that into the All-Star break probably, and then that would effectively, obviously, end his MVP campaign. And so then you look at the rest of the board, and Shai is the heavy favorite, according to our good friends over at FanDuel, -425. Luka Doncic is at is at second place with a plus 430, but Luka's not going to have the team success, and the individual numbers just don't stack up right now to SGA. Cade Cunningham is having the team success, but isn't having anywhere near the season that Shai is, and he's at third right now on the odds. And I just think that SGA had already made himself, the number 2 or number 1 guy next to Jokic in this race, and now your competition has dropped out. You look at what he did last night. 30 points in under 30 minutes. This is already the most times that's happened in NBA history, and we're just now to the new year. He's already had 10 such nights of that scoring prowess from SGA. The efficiency off the charts. He's improved from the three-point line. He's improved as a playmaker, and of course, we know that he's going to have the team success to go along with it. I think that right now, barring Jokic coming back quicker than anybody thinks and him being still eligible, I think that right now you look at it and Shai should not only win the award, but really he should be a unanimous MVP, because any other vote would just be throwing your vote away. Like, there's just no one that comes close to competing with these two guys for MVP, and one of the two guys isn't eligible.
Yeah, exactly. Unanimous. It would be incredible if that were to happen. Rylan, I don't know off the top of my head the last time we had a unanimous MVP.
Steph Curry.
Steph. Okay, so that was still a while ago. So yeah you can tell you that it's not too common that we see that, but it would certainly send a statement if he was able to do so. And Jeremy, I think, as Rylan mentioned, numbers, the winning, but I think another big case that can be made, that should be made on Shai's behalf, is just the circumstances this team has gone through with all the injuries to pretty much everyone not named Shai. It seems like he's playing with a different team almost every night, and he still finds a way to get it done and make it work and win these games and play at a high level.
Yeah, he's definitely been that constant, and he just it's hard to score in the NBA. It's definitely hard when the whole team is putting a game plan together to stop you. And for him to, when he has the ball, all 10 eyes are on him. Like, he's finding a way every night to get to the line, get to the paint. He's knocking down threes. Obviously, his mid-range is always going down. So just for him to be able to, like I said, be there constant, in the season this far that he's going to be out there and he's going to give it all he got. And it's good that he hasn't been able to play, or not been able, but hasn't played a lot of fourth quarters. It's good he can get that rest. He's not playing huge minutes. You would think, looking at his stats, that he's playing 40+ minutes, and for him to be able to be so efficient, in 30+ minutes, it goes a long way. As far as the season going on with 82 games, those things are huge. You knock people out when you can, so that as you're going through the season, one, you don't give them hope, but also, you can get some rest. It's not too taxing on your body.
Rylan, I know you mentioned about Shai that he should be unanimous MVP, and I don't think that's necessarily a knock on all the other talent in the league. I think there's some great stories of, you mentioned what Luka's doing with the Lakers, or Cade Cunningham with the Pistons coming out of nowhere. But there's other awards for those type of things, like All NBA, or when we're talking, in the case of Cade Cunningham, maybe like Most Improved Player or something like that. I mean, the talent, I think there's a lot of momentum, a lot of good things going on in the league right now, but Shai is just on a different level than those others.
Yeah, I think that whenever you look at it, the talent is there. This is, the most talent rich that the league has arguably ever been. But when it comes to the MVP race, it would be a very competitive and very lengthy list if you didn't have Shai and Nikola Jokic putting up these historic numbers each and every night, each and every season. Because if you just overlooked those two guys, how you split the hairs between Luka Doncic, Cade Cunningham, even a Jaylen Brown, who's done so much for that Celtics team that people left for dead before the year began. Tyrese Maxey's been incredible. Jalen Brunson in a big market with all that behind him, on top of the winning, on top of the individual success. But it's impossible to overlook what Shai is doing, making the most field goal attempts per game this season while not shooting the most in the league. He's doing it with efficiency that we've never really seen from a guard before. The only guard you can really compare his efficiency numbers to is MJ. And the only person you compare his 20-point streak to is Wilt Chamberlain. Whenever you're getting compared to these guys night in and night out, it just shows you the kind of season that you're putting together. Shai, of course, is within striking distance, and if he continues his streak, he'll topple Wilt's streak of the 20 points per game, 20 points each game for 126 straight nights. Like, if he can do that on top of the success that he's having already, he just has everything going for him. And you mentioned the fact that, they've been winning. You're right. They've been winning in spite of a lot of injury adversity that has been masked by Shai, who's only missed one game with that elbow bursitis. He's been the constant variable for Oklahoma City. He's been the guy who's led them to this point. And I think that while we expected them to be in the top of the Western Conference, to do it 3 straight years is unprecedented, but to do it with the amount of injuries that you've sustained is also really impressive.
Oh, it's outstanding, to say the least, what we've seen from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as far as that goes. Jeremy, when you look at his game right now, what are some of the things that you personally, just as a fan of his or the basketball aficionado you are, what are some of the specifics you like about the way he's playing right now?
I just like that he's making the right plays. Again, I go back to his stats. You would think he's, shooting a lot of shots out there, just, hunting points, but he's just taking what the game gives him. If somebody's open, he pass, and then vice versa. They give him the ball if he's open. If they're open, he gives them the ball. So when you're playing like that, everybody's running, free. Everybody getting shots, everybody, knocking down shots. It's just a great spirit for the team. That builds trust. You can trust somebody because everybody is playing for the team, for the best interest of the team, and because everybody wants to win. So if I had one thing, I would want him to get in the post a little bit more. He's been doing it a little bit more, but him in the post, when he's starting that close to the basket, he's hard to stop with how good he can shoot it. But also when they come to double, it just opens up for everybody because it's either a foul, a bucket, or you got to double team him. So I think that's the biggest thing I like about this game right now.
Rylan, we touched on it a little bit on Tuesday's show, but one thing we've seen with him as well is he's become more vocal than he's been in the past, whether it was telling everybody, hey, we got work to do when it comes to the defense, or you go back to when they lost to the Spurs for the 3rd time. He had a point that said something to the effect of that, hey, 3 times losing this team is not a coincidence. They might be better than us right now. You're just speaking out, saying those things, and he was always kind of a quiet guy of sorts, and J-Dub was known as being kind of the vocal presence, but with J-Dub kind of in and out with injuries, like I'm looking at SGA, this is somebody that is becoming a complete player on and off the court. He is not just the leader that we see in the huddles and active on the court, but he's, he looks like that true face of the franchise as well now.
Yeah, and that's a part of his game that he's really continued to grow over the years. And he's talked about it, how he used to just kind of be a lead by example guy, but he's had to take more ownership of being vocal on the court, vocal in the locker room, in the media. Like, he's really done a great job of wrapping his arms around this team and making sure that while everybody feels included, nobody feels lesser than, it is his team. And so he's got to carry them through stretches like that they had to go through against San Antonio. He's got to be up front and the face of that. And you saw that the messaging has worked. I mean, they did not play to their standard up until last night against Portland. Last night against Portland, they played a 48-minute basketball game to their identity for the first time since the first week of December. And so that's important. And I think that Shai has taken significant strides in that. Now, does that matter for his MVP case? Not so much. But does that matter for the team's success big picture-wise? It absolutely does. And so Shai has done the necessary work both behind the scenes and also in his own game on the court that really just makes you show you how far he's developed as a player.
Jeremy, last thing, then we'll move on here. With him on his way to what looks like his second MVP, an NBA championship last year, finals MVP, all the stats everybody knows. And we mentioned kind of being more vocal, outspoken a bit. Is SGA right now, you think, the face of the league? And if he's not now, do you think he will be?
The face of the league. I mean, I would say, yeah. I mean, it's him and a couple guys, at the top. But yeah, he's on top of the league right now. I mean, last year he had one of the best seasons as an individual that any player could ever have. And now he's following it up with this season. So this stretch of basketball for him is incredible, really, just with all the accolades, but also, he's on the 20-point streak right now. He got his team at the top. So absolutely. I mean, if you got to vote for somebody to be the face of the league, it definitely should be him.
More to come on the Thunder Squad show. On the other side, we'll talk about Chet Holmgren and how he stepped up. 3 of his last 4 games, he's had a double-double. We'll talk about that and more coming up as we continue here on the Thunder Squad show. Stay with us. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports. Bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. Lock in your lineup and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. PrizePicks has added an extra layer of excitement to holiday sports schedule. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. You can choose from a huge range of unique stats, fantasy scores, field goals attempted, free throws made, turnovers, whatever fits your strategy. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Welcome back. We continue here on the Thunder Squad show. Tyler Jones, Rylan, Stiles, Jeremy Lamb here with you. We'll talk about Chet Holmgren here in just a moment. But first, folks, I want to make sure and tell y'all about the Everydayer Club. Thanks for making the Locked On Thunder podcast your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out the Everydayer Club. Access to an ad-free audio feed for the Locked On Thunder podcast, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. All you have to do, folks, is go to lockedonthunder.supercast.com. That's lockedonthunder.supercast.com, and you can hang out with Rylan and see all of that fantastic stuff going on there. All right, Chet Holmgren. Chet has stepped up quite a bit. He responded well after a rough couple of games against the San Antonio Spurs with 7 points on December 3rd, 10 points on December 25th. And then here's how the last 3 games have gone. Against Philly on the 28th, he had 29 points. Against Atlanta on the 29th, he had 24 points. Then last night against Portland, he had 12 points. But he did have a double-double as he finished with 10 points, 12 points, 10 rebounds. Also had 6 blocks, 2 steals, and assists. And he's had 3 double-doubles within the last 4 games. Rylan, Chet certainly had his hands full dealing with the Spurs and Wemby, but people were talking about him. It was a big topic of sorts, but it seems like that he's gotten back on track and responded well here the last couple of games.
Yeah, he certainly has. And I think that whenever you look at it, it's why that we were able to point out the back spasms he was dealing with, the respiratory illness that he had last week. Not an excuse by any means, but an explanation for why he was not moving the same at all. Yes, Wemby got the better of him, and Wemby has performed better than him, and he's got to change that in the future. But there were also some lingering things. But what you saw him do yesterday was just stuff he physically was not able to do a week ago, whether he was playing Wemby or anyone else. And yesterday, the Portland Trailblazers took the most of their shots at the rim, and yet they could only convert at a 54% clip because Chet was there looming, deterring shots, getting a season-high 6 blocks. You saw him leaping over Shaedon Sharpe to get a steal. Like, that's just stuff he could not physically do a week ago with those ailments. And so now you've seen him improve defensively, and it's no surprise that with that anchorage from Chet Holmgren on the back end, the rest of the defense performed yesterday against Portland and really got out in transition and cleaned things up on the defensive end. And then offensively, you're consistently seeing him change his shot diet, change his portfolio, lingering around the rim a whole lot more. There were so many times where he benefited from being in that dunker spot. The lob from Kenrich Williams, the wraparound pass from Aaron Wiggins as a driver. I think that you're seeing him as still a young player who doesn't have a ton of NBA games under his belt due to those injuries. You're seeing him start to find out the league. And one of those things for him has been the confidence of his positioning, where in the past you'd see him, if he did get near the rim, if he saw a drive coming, which you'd see that every single possession because Oklahoma City is so drive heavy, he'd just kind of dart out of the way. Well, the problem with that would be, once the driver has already gotten into the paint, you're not going to pull that center out anymore. They're going to stay there and try to take away that high percentage shot. And so now he's keeping himself in the dunker spot just in case he needs to clean up a putback or in case the driver can bail out and give him the ball for an easy feed. And so that's led to some easy points for him, some efficient points for him. You've seen him jump efficiently in the mid-range at the rim from 3 as well. So I think that with Chet, it is there. It's going to be about consistency, of course. And he's kind of in a unique position because this praise of Chet for this week will obviously be met with, well, he didn't do it against Wemby. He didn't do it against a better team with the Spurs. Well, he could only play who the NBA has scheduled for him. Would you rather him look bad against these teams or rather him look good against these teams? So it's good that he is getting back on track. Clearly, a lot will be made of that mid-January game against San Antonio because between now and then, they have a bit of a softer schedule.
Yeah, still a couple of weeks left before they play San Antonio. And we mentioned on Tuesday's show, for better for worse, how he plays and how the Thunder play overall. A lot is going to be made about that game, and it's already been flexed to primetime on NBC because of how big of a game that could potentially be. Jeremy, Chet Holmgren, we mentioned getting these double-doubles. 3 out of the last 4 games. I don't care if you're only scoring 12 points last night. That's a big deal for him to be showing up, being that constant presence there.
Yeah, he don't gotta score big every night to be effective. Yesterday he had his hand, or his handprints all over the game in multiple ways. He scored a little bit, and a lot of their minutes was down, but scored 10 points, 12 rebounds. When he's rebounding and getting offensive rebounds and stuff, it's hard to stop him at the rim. You either got to foul him or, he's going to dunk it or lay it in. So when he's just, altering shots, he don't always get the block, but he alters, shots all game. The play I was impressed with when he was on the fast break, I forget who picked him up, but he did a little in and out and then went in and got fouled. I hadn't seen him move that quick or make a move that quick, especially in the open floor. So just seeing those things and seeing him continue to improve on both ends is always good to see.
Yeah, he certainly has. And Rylan, the flexibility, we've seen that, iHeart has been in and out with injuries, and whether it's Chet playing center or playing power forward, I don't know what you think, Rylan, but I look back at initially when Chet first was a rookie with this Thunder team, it seemed like he felt uncomfortable at times playing that center position because of, he doesn't have much weight compared to other guys at those spots, but he does have the height, of course. It seems like he's more comfortable doing whatever Mark Daigneault needs. Like, hey, if we need you to play center, if we need you to play power forward, then he's becoming more flexible, I think. Let's say you.
Yeah, I mean, the added weight certainly does help against certain matchups, and he has gotten stronger, and it's strength that can be implemented into the game, and it's not just strength for the sake of strength. So that's good for Chet. It's kind of been the best of both worlds for him. Sometimes you see guys who are uber athletic and need to add strength. They add too much strength, and it kind of neuters their athleticism, which was kind of the whole point of them being a great player. Chet's walked that line very well, and it's been a slow burn for him to get to this point. As a rookie, like if you look at the numbers from him, especially his rookie season, he was an Iron Man playing all 82 games. His plus minus was off the charts, and it was sometimes inflated because of their lack of reserves in the front court. But he was really good in that setting. I think that what you saw as a rookie compared to now, like the biggest difference is he can mix it up at the cup now with his post-up game. He's worked on his finishing inside. That's helped him stay there, because as a rookie, he was really just a pick and pop sort of center. Now he's diving to the rim more off of pick and rolls. He's able to be in the dunker spot more, cutting more than ever. All these things improving do coincide with his added strength and his experience in the league. And so it's kind of where you want to be. Like as a rookie, he did great for a baseline, but you always knew he would have to evolve at that position. And his kind of improvement at that position got a little bit thrown off by the fact that you were able to sign Isaiah Hartenstein. Then he had a hip fracture, and now you're back into things. And I think that the Chet at the 5 minutes are still going to be a great tool for this team. They were a great tool en route to a championship. Like if you look at that Timberwolves series, they primarily played that lineup of Chet being at the 5, even though Einhart started. So this is going to be a tool for them no matter who's healthy and who's out. But his ability to be flexible really helps this team try to maximize their roster, because if you could only play center, then you couldn't put lineups on the floor with your 5 best players. Isaiah Hartenstein is one of your 5 best players. You need those 2 guys to be able to share the floor together, and Chet's made the adjustments to be able to do that.
Yeah, he has. Whether he gets to play with iHeart or not, he's done a really good job of making things work as far as that goes. And there was a lot made, Jeremy, about the people were saying within the last few weeks, hey, his block numbers are down and all this. And if you were listening to this show, you had smart basketball minds like Rylan Stiles telling you, don't worry about it. He's doing so much good on everything else. And then what do you know? A night like last night, he's able to put together against Portland 6 blocks, which just insane. Like, he is still maybe I think teams are more aware and aren't shooting his direction as much because of that shot blocking ability. But at any given time, like, you can see something different from Chet. Like, he can have a high scoring night one night. He can have a night where he's dominating the glass, getting the boards, or a night like last night where he's a block machine. Like, there's a variety of ways that he can impact and dominate a game.
Yeah, he's gonna have his games where he's, like you said, 6 blocks. He might get a 10 block game. You never know. But it's also this scouting report. Like, if you're the coach, you're gonna tell your team, look, when you get in the paint, you're not gonna be able to shoot over him. So, like you said, it's people not gonna try to shoot over him as much. They're gonna look for that outlet pass or that dump off to the big. So with him being able to put fear in the other team and having to change their game plan, and they know, look, you're not gonna get easy layups, whether he has 1 block or 10 blocks, either way, they know he's in there, and it changed the whole other team, the way they got to attack OKC offensively.
Yeah, that's for sure. Rylan, if you had to pick one thing that you want to see Chet kind of work on, improve his game a bit, what's the one thing that kind of stands out to you?
I think that right now you really lean toward the handle, because there's so many opportunities for him where he has a guy on him who he's more athletic than, and he could work around once you give him the entry pass into the post, but his handle's not crisp enough to avoid some of the gaps, some of the gap help that can dislodge the ball and ruin a possession. That's important. I think that you can work around that more than more than that being the priority for him to develop. I think that long-term for him, the most important thing, and if you could say a New Year's resolution between now and 2027, it would be Chet Holmgren being way more comfortable shooting over guards. And right now, it's not something you can fix overnight. And this is why it's hard to harp on it during the season, because his shot is a bit too slow. While it has gotten faster, it's still on the slow side. And his shot is way too low for a 7-foot frame right now to be able to comfortably shoot over smaller contests. And he's got to get better at that, because the touch is there, the ability to knock down those shots is there. But when you can't get the shot off, it kind of limits how versatile you can be on the offensive end. And it really would, if he could do that, force teams to stop cross-matching, force teams to bring their big out to him. And once you've put the big out there on an island, he can really go to work at that point, and it just clears up so many runways for cuts and drives as well for the rest of his teammates. So I'd say the one thing, while the handle is noticeable because there's so many possessions at times that can get lost, the biggest thing, though, to help the entire team and himself individually rack up points would be shooting over smaller defenders.
More to come on the
Hold on,
Thunder
real quick.
Show.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Jerry. Yeah.
Joseph Butch. I don't know if you believe what you're saying, but you have no clue what you're talking about. So shout out Joseph Butch.
Joseph's getting called out. Sorry, man.
He probably just want attention.
Yeah.
Well, I gave it to him. It's not good.
That's good. More to come on the Thunder Squad Show. In a moment, we will talk about Ajay Mitchell. And he had a nice night last night against Portland. And he is showing why he is vital for this team's success. We'll explain more as we're halfway home. Stay with us here on the Thunder Squad Show. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag with DoorDash. Fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late-night interview hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is exactly built for that. I can tell you, last night I was enjoying New Year's Eve, and it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. What did I do? Oh, yeah, I used DoorDash to get Taco Bell. Probably not the healthiest option, but DoorDash came in clutch, my friends. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash is in your bag all season long. DoorDash, proud partner of the Locked On Podcast Network and the Thunder Squad Show. Welcome back to the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones, Rylan, Stiles, Jeremy Lamb back here with you now. Let's talk Ajay Mitchell and his importance to this Thunder team. 17 points last night, 4 for 4 from the field, 1 for 1 from three-point range, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Everything. Could not miss. Couldn't miss a thing last night. Also had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block and 1 steal to go along with that as well. And we were talking about just a week or so ago, Rylan, about how the Thunder might be relying too much on Ajay Mitchell because those 2 games without him, for as much as everybody talked about, man, Wemby and these guys just dominated, and Chet played bad and all this stuff, like there was a significant drop-off of not having Ajay Mitchell in the lineup in those 2 games, and then we see immediately the difference of what he's done the 3 games since, last night in particular. Yes, do they depend on him too much? Sure. But on the flip side of that, too, a night like last night is a good example of why they depend on him as much as they do right now.
Yeah, I think that there is a situation here where, like, if AJ was a first-round pick, depending on him too much wouldn't be a thing. Like, the fact he's a second-round pick, people like to point that out. Well, this entire roster is cultivated on largely second-round picks, and he's the best of the bunch in terms of value that you've hit on, because this is a guy who shows the signs that he can be a top 4 player on this roster when it's all said and done and he's done developing. Because you look at how he plays right now, and you look at what this team needs. all last year. They went wire to wire, dominating the NBA, winning 68 games in the regular season. In the playoffs, whenever they had 2 7-game series, and the other 2 series were non-contests, and the 2 series that really bogged down and the Thunder were threatened to lose those 2 series, it was because they lacked a secondary creator, another guy who could handle the basketball and create for himself and create for others. Everyone knew that that was a massive problem for this team. The Thunder in the offseason banked on this development from Ajay Mitchell being that guy to take off that checklist of weaknesses on this team. And so whenever you saw those same weaknesses appear, whenever Ajay Mitchell was not in the lineup, it shouldn't have come as a surprise to anybody. Now that he's back in the lineup, they've alleviated some of those issues. And the thing with Ajay Mitchell is he does things, even as a second-year guy, even as a second-round pick, he does things that no one else on this roster besides Shai can really do. He gets to the paint at will. He scores at the rim through contact, initiating contact, not just absorbing contact. That way he can bump a defender off his spot and create a clean look for himself. He can pull up in the mid-range. He can play off the ball. He can set the table for his teammates. Right now, nobody besides Shai can generate the free throws that he generates for himself, even in a smaller sample size. His rim finishing is out of this world, his body control. And I love the fact that his handle, it creates for others in such a big way. Because while we're talking about the fact that he's always in the paint and he's always getting those touches inside the paint on the ball, what does that mean? It means that you're playing in a crowd. It means that you're surrounded by the opposition and he doesn't turn the ball over. The low turnover for such a young player is huge for this team, and it allows for those kickouts once he gets a foot in the paint. It allows for him to get deeper into the paint and get shots at the rim. It allows for this team to just flow offensively, especially when Shai's off the court, which it didn't last year, and that's what really pushed those series to not be the runaways that the first round was or the Western Conference Finals was. And so I think that whenever you look at Ajay Mitchell, he is a key contributor to this team, and he is vital. Like, you need that archetype of player, whether it comes from Ajay Mitchell or not. Like, it's going to, because he's the best at it, but you've always needed that archetype. And whenever you don't have that archetype of player, you see the problems that they've ran into at times.
Jeremy, we've talked about the G League and how the Thunder use the Oklahoma City Blue to their advantage, and I think that Ajay Mitchell is a great example of that. But I was thinking about even further. I don't know how many people even realize this, but before Ajay Mitchell was even at UC Santa Barbara, he actually played professional basketball with Limburg United back in his home country of Belgium. He was on their youth squad, and then he played a little bit with their senior team before he eventually made his way to UC Santa Barbara. And of course, gets drafted by the Knicks and ends up with Oklahoma City, and then, you know, the Blue and all that, and you all know the story there. But, like, where I'm going with this, stay with me here, folks. To have that professional experience, sure, I don't know what the competition's like in Belgium. Can't imagine it's that great, to be frank with you. But just that professional experience at such a young age, Jeremy, to me, that kind of makes more sense of why we've seen him develop so quickly. It was, this guy was already playing with grown men at a young age.
Yeah, when I was young, you know, I always wanted to play with the older guys to try to get better. You know, they were faster, stronger, quicker, you know, so with him playing against professionals, like you said, at such a young age, realizing like you can play with these guys and you can excel, it not only help you physically but mentally. Just knowing like, if I work hard, you know, if I you know, sacrifice, do those things that you know can help you reach your full potential. Playing guys like that at a young age, it just helps you, it matures your game. And that's a great story. I didn't even know his whole story, but just for him to be able to grind and stay tough mentally through, you know, all the ups and downs of basketball, because, you know, it's a tough sport at times. You shoot the ball the same exact way, and sometimes it goes in and sometimes it doesn't. And so to be able to, like you said, play professionals, play well, be able to go to college, be able to get drafted, it just shows his hard work. It shows, you know, how that helped his development. And you see it now, you know, everybody say, you know, he's a young player, but he doesn't play like that. I think part of that, like you said, came from that experience of playing older guys, older professionals. He seemed like the type that probably asked questions, was a sponge, really trying to help his game anyway. So kudos to him. It's really paying off for sure.
Rylan, you're around this Thunder team, and I'm sure you've had plenty of discussions, with Ajay Mitchell and such. Has he said anything about his prior experience, whether that's from the G League or his days back in Belgium, of what that did for his growth where he's at now?
Well, he never got to play for the G League. He's using the rotation from night one as a rookie and never left the rotation until he got hurt. But he does have a phenomenal upbringing. I think that what you look at AJ Mitchell with is the maturity that he shows when it comes to understanding that not only do you have to work on the court, you have to work in the film room. And from the time that he got drafted by Oklahoma City, he tells these stories of always being in that film room with SGA and J-Dub in particular, and those three guys spending countless hours watching film. He also, on top of his international background, his father was a professional basketball player as well in the CBA and also in the WBC. So I think that whenever you look at what his father was able to instill in him, what he had, and then talking to his college coach, like this was someone who showed up on day one, and you didn't know at the time, he said, that he'd be an NBA player. He just wasn't at that part of his development. He wasn't at that part of his body. And honestly, the production wasn't at that part yet. But the work that he constantly put in got him to this point, even though it took multiple college seasons to do so. This is someone who really understands the work that it takes to be a pro and the work that it takes to stay a pro. And that's really helped him become instantly ready for action. Like, you think about that he's a second-round pick that didn't spend a day with the OKC Blue because he was in the rotation on opening night and never left it, and still hasn't left the rotation for this loaded Thunder team.
Yeah, it's something else, to say the least, what he's been able to do and the impact that he's had on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. You're watching the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones, Rylan, Stiles, Jeremy Lamb here with you on this Thursday afternoon. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for starting out 2026 with us. Jeremy, is there anything to his game that you'd like to see him potentially work on and improve a bit? What's kind of the next steps that you want to see from AJ Mitchell? Obviously, he's ahead of schedule as is, but what would you like to see potentially different here?
I would say just him keep working on his decision making. Not necessarily that it's bad. He's still a good decision maker, but as you go through the league and stuff starts slowing down, you start learning your teammates more. I feel like him knowing when to be aggressive, especially in that second unit, him knowing when to be aggressive, but also knowing when he needs to get somebody on the second unit going, just working on when to shoot the floater, when to drop it off to the big. And he's gotten better with dropping it off or, hitting that fill-up man. But if I was going to look at anything, I would want that to continue to increase, because I like him in the second unit because he does have the ball in his hands, either him or J-Dub. But he also is he keeps them calm. When he has the ball, he's always in control. So him continuing just to learn his teammates, work on decision making, knowing when he needs to be aggressive or when to shoot or pass or free throw line, whatever it is, just learning and being a student of the game, that's going to help him tremendously.
Rylan, last thing when it comes to AJ Mitchell here, you go back last postseason, and he was kind of the odd man out, was not a part of the playoff rotation. When you look ahead to this year, let's assume that everybody is healthy. What do you think his role is in that rotation when it comes playoff time for this Thunder team? What do you think that potentially looks like?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a top 8-minute getter in this rotation come playoff time, and I think that he can be someone who climbs up that list of being a top 6 guy, getting minutes in the postseason because his skill set is so valuable. And I think that whenever you look at AJ last year, the difference in his minutes was just because he only came back from that turf toe injury with 2 games to spare in the regular season. And that's a very hard injury in terms of your balance, which is key for the role he plays offensively of getting downhill. It's very hard to recover from. The thing I loved about it, though, was in those spot minutes, including in the midst of the second quarter of game 2 in the NBA Finals. We're not talking garbage time here. He was ultra aggressive in getting his shots up. He did not shy away from the moment. It did not work out for him in that second quarter against the Pacers, but the lack of hesitation in his game on that big of a stage, coming off of an injury, having not played for this team a whole lot in the 3 months leading up to the NBA Finals, I think was just a prelude of what you're going to see in this postseason.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. More to come. Final segment of the Thunder Squad show. On the other side, Isaiah Joe has made a reemergence. A really good night for him last night in Portland after not doing so hot prior to that. We'll talk about Isaiah Joe and what to expect going forward from him as we wrap up here on this New Year's Day edition of the Thunder Squad show. Stay with us. Final segment here on this Thursday. Tyler Jones, Jeremy Lamb, Rylan, Stiles back here with you now on the Thunder Squad show. Let's talk about Isaiah Joe and the reemergence that he had last night in the win against the Portland Trail Blazers. 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field. All of them, 3-point shots, 5 of 10 from 3-point range. Also had a rebound and 1 assist, and his plus-minus was +7. And this comes after, against Atlanta, he only played 10 minutes, was held scoreless. Against Philly, played 5 minutes, was held scoreless. And, you know, we've mentioned this before in this show that he is averaging the most points that he's had per game his entire career right now at 10.9 points per game. So basically 11 points, usually averaging about 21 minutes. But there was a gap of sorts. You had to go all the way back to December 18th prior to last night for the last time that he was in double figures in points with 14, and was a welcome sight last night, Jeremy, to see Isaiah Joe get it back going offensively, and in particular with that 3-point shooting there, going 50% from 3-point range.
Yeah, it's tricky with him because he's, like you say, his minutes are up and down. He doesn't necessarily know how many minutes he's going to play, but I feel like he's like a big part of the team just because the way he could shoot the ball, it helps spread the floor. You know, you can run him off screens. You can, you know, just when you have him out there, the floor is more open. So even though he's out there sometimes and scoreless, I feel like he's still making an impact because it's creating more space for their playmakers. So yeah, I feel like before he got hurt, like you said, his minutes was really up and down. But I think when he was out, I think they really missed him, just having that weapon to, you know, throw in there to get a boost or, you know, knock down some shots. When they struggle the most when they're not hitting their, you know, their outside shot. So to have somebody in there, a sniper who, you know, works on his game and is going to continue to shoot the ball, whether he make 5, miss 5, he has the perfect shooting mentality because, you know, you got to have a short memory. You got to be able to just move on and think about that next shot. So I feel like when he's playing like that, you know, everybody's like surprised when he miss a shot, you know, and then if he miss, everybody's telling him shoot the next one. So having that weapon off the bench is huge, and I think they really missed him.
Yeah, they did. And Rylan, I mean, you look at him. I mean, they call him Stroking Joe for a reason. Like this is somebody that they, you know, depend on mightily. That they need in the role that he plays, and for him to, you know, that sequence basically, you want to call it a week and a half, 2 weeks, was kind of unlike him of sorts to see him disappear the way that he did. It was a welcome bounce back last night for him to step up in that way.
Yeah, I think that over this stretch here, whenever you look at the double digit going back to, you know, he hasn't scored in double figures since, you know, December 18th until last night. In between last night and the 18th, he left that Philadelphia game early with neck soreness, and then he only was able to get a certain amount of shots in these games. I think that part of the problem was against Minnesota, against San Antonio both times, that Mark relied on the guys that he trusted and then did not play Isaiah Joe enough in those games. And I think that whenever you look at it, yes, he was playing better defenders. Those better defenders were not getting the production that they needed to. So if you're not going to defend like you didn't in those 2 games against San Antonio, you might as well lean into Isaiah Joe's offense. They just didn't do that. Whenever he's gotten his shot attempts, he's only had 1 game in that stretch that he's had above 2 shot attempts and shot below 50%. He's been someone who's done his job very well. That Philadelphia game he was injured at, so he would have played more in that game, but he only went 0 for 1 in that game before he got hurt. But you look even in that minutes that he played against San Antonio, he was able to go 2 for 3 and 2 for 4 respectively in those games. He just didn't get enough playing time, which he should have gotten more of in those games in particular. And whenever he did get that boost in playing time against Portland, you saw him go 5 for 10, and he's just increased his volume because he's able to get more shots off now. He's not so stationary as a catch and shoot shooter. You're seeing him be able to do it off movement, whether it's relocation, whether it's coming off of DHOs, whether it's coming off ball screens, and they've really found a niche for him with their ability to run this out of bounds play that they've already ran 5 times this season. And you think about that, you have to think about how many times that they have an under the basket out of bounds play just in general in a game, and then how many of those times that a bench player is on the floor for in Isaiah Joe, and they've already set him up for 5 straight shot attempts where they do this double screen for him coming from the opposite slot into the short corner, and they find him on the inbound, and he's only able to effectively utilize that play because he's improved his shot. It's not, he does not hesitate anymore. It's a quicker release. He had 19 opportunities in that setting last year. They only ran this version of this play about 3 times, and even then, it was not as smooth as it's been this year. They've gotten much better screening and much better spacing on the play this year. But it's just an example of how you're able to go to him in such different looks because, in years past for Isaiah Joe, well, he's been a really good 3-point shooter. It has just been a lot of standstill shots. Now you're seeing him improve his portfolio, and you're seeing him improve as a player with production. And when he's gotten the minutes this year, he's really produced for them.
To Rylan's point, Jeremy, I would say that even though the minutes were down the last couple of games, when you see him step up when his name is called upon, like last night when he got 19 minutes and goes 5 of 10 from the field, or also like kind of what Rylan mentions too, of they're drawing up plays for him and everything. Like I don't think Mark Daigneault's confidence has wavered one bit in Isaiah Joe. I think that they fully have bought in. They believe in him. They're just trying to pick the spots of where he fits in best matchup wise.
Yeah, it's tough when you're on a championship team. When you're a coach, trying to find minutes for every player is just not possible. It's not enough minutes in the game to play, everybody on your roster as much as you want to play them. So for him to stay ready, to know his role, is like it's not an easy thing to do. People think, oh, he's a shooter, he got to make that or whatever it is. But when you're playing 5 minutes here, 14 minutes here, especially as a shooter, you want some type of rhythm. You want, and it's just not, it's not easy to do it every game. So the fact that he's able to still stay ready, produce on both ends, he's still averaging double figures. It's great to see. It speaks to his work ethic. And like I said, people on the outside looking in think it's it's easy to do, but it messes with your mental as well when you don't know if you're going to play. You don't know how many shots you're going to get, especially being a shooter. You want to get out there and shoot the ball. So the fact that he's able to stay consistent, stay ready, the team does trust him, but at the end of the day, he's on a championship team and it's not enough minutes for everybody.
When people talk about 3-point shooting and the question mark that has been put on this Thunder team when it comes to 3-point shooting, I look at Isaiah Joe, Rylan. It could be sometime in the playoffs, could be in the regular season, whatever it may be. Like if there comes a point this team is playing from behind, or if they need a bucket, like Isaiah Joe can be that guy. Like I think the trust and also the the history is there that if Isaiah Joe needs his name to be called, that he'll be ready. The moment won't be too big.
Yeah, I think that he's going to have to be. I think that whenever you look at it, obviously, this has been an exceptionally young team, and they've now had 2 playoff runs, which is harder for the role players, to Jeremy's point, to really get comfortable in as quickly. Because while they did go to the second round 2 years ago and then had a full playoff run to the finals, like whenever you don't know when your number is going to be called and you don't have that rhythm, you also don't have enough reps to really get your feet under you on such a massive stage. Now, in his year 3 postseason this year, you would imagine that he'll be way more comfortable. Of course, being a home court advantage team helps that as well. Role players typically shoot better at home. With Isaiah Joe, he's going to have to take ownership of and produce at the level that we see role players do every single playoff run. Every single playoff run, there's a role player who helps his team get to the conference finals, get to the NBA finals, that 29 other fan bases are saying, I wish we had a guy like that on this team. Isaiah Joe's got to be that for Oklahoma City, someone who really punishes teams for the amount of help you're going to have to send to SGA. Now you have Chet Holmgren playing at a high offensive level. If J-Dub returns to form, the amount of help you got to send to him, there's going to be so much attention given to other guys on this roster not named Isaiah Joe that even in the playoffs, he should still have clean looks. He's got to capitalize on those and really force the issue offensively for this team to get some buckets. So I think that Isaiah Joe should be in line for a big postseason.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. He'll be somebody to watch for sure, and can't wait to see what he does here in the coming weeks ahead. Guys, we got just a few minutes left, so I want to ask you this. With it being the first day of 2026, Jeremy, do you have a New Year's resolution for this Oklahoma City Thunder team? I'll ask Rylan the same thing here in a moment. We'll start with you, Jeremy. Any New Year's resolution or anything that you have in mind for this crew?
New Year's resolution for the Thunder?
Yeah.
I would like to see another long winning streak.
Okay.
On the beat of the previous one they had earlier this season. I'd like to see another long winning streak.
Okay. How about you, Rylan?
Yeah, I think that when you look at this team, my resolution for them would be to modify their 1 of 82 0-0 approach. Don't disregard it. It is such a strong foundation that you've built for this team. It's why you never see them lose to bad squads. It may be a schedule loss here and there, but ultimately you look at their record, in the last couple of seasons, they don't have these random dud nights and where they just can't get up for their opponent. So it's been good in that regard. I think that it can also lull you into a false sense of security whenever you are playing against bigger matchups, like on Christmas Day against San Antonio, like in Vegas in the NBA Cup the past 2 seasons. If you treat every game the same, but the other team is having a high octane intensity night, it's hard to match that level of intensity. So while you don't want to disregard it, I want to modify it of like, sometimes there is a game that's bigger than 1 of 82. Sometimes there is a game that's bigger than being 0-0. And you've got to be ready to throw that punch first, the way that other teams are throwing the punch first at you. In particular, San Antonio, like you see the fact that they go 3-0 against OKC and then lose to Utah. The Thunder never have those lows of losing to Utah, but they need to find a way to achieve those highs of being able to take the fight to a team in the regular season.
Personally, for me, I want to see them kind of put this San Antonio stuff to bed. I want them to win this game in the next couple of weeks. And then when we're talking playoff time, like win a series with San Antonio in 4 or 5 games, and let's just shut this whole thing down for a bit. I want to just take care of San Antonio. That would be my New Year's resolution, what I want to see there. Thanks for tuning in to the Thunder Squad Show, a part of the Locked On Thunder podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow the show so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get the Locked On Thunder podcast ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. And all you have to do, folks, is head to lockedonthunder.supercast.com to check that out. And for those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. Rylan's over there as well. Check that out. And we certainly would appreciate it. Rylan, programming note before we go. You got plenty of stuff on the channel the next couple days, and we'll be back doing this show on Tuesday.
That's right. I mean, tonight, Locked On NBA Game Night, recapping the night in the NBA. Tomorrow here on Locked On Thunder, you'll have a brand new show in the morning giving you some more New Year's resolutions for this Thunder team. And then you'll have a recap that night of the Warriors game. Monday, of course, recapping that Suns game from Sunday night. And then we'll be back on a Tuesday with another new show and another new Thunder Squad show. So going to be a very fun week, very fun year.
Jeremy, another show in the books, and a happy New Year to you, my friend. Lot of fun talking about this Thunder team, and certainly excited to continue this year in 2026, my guy.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. It's gonna be a big year for each of us, for the Thunder. It's gonna be good. So happy New Year. Shout out Joseph Butch. Yeah, let's get this thing
Any new
rolling.
nails for the new year, Jeremy?
Nah, I still got the Christmas ones.
Okay.
I'm actually about to give my nails a break. They're a little thin right now, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Plot twist. On that note,
Breaking news on the Squad show.
yes. On that
We'll have to
note,
pick
we'll
up the
get
slack
out of
for
here.
you.
Yeah, maybe so. Rylan's got you covered the next couple days. We'll be back here on Tuesday at 3:30 Central Time. We will see you then. For Jeremy Lamb and Rylan Stiles, I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the other side. Appreciate you joining us. So long, everybody.